Hello, students. So, the last topic of the chapter, what is democracy, why democracy, is broader meanings of democracy. So, in this chapter, we have already discussed what is democracy. We have clearly identified the different features of democracy and this and why do we need democracy. Different arguments were there. Now this all this has helped us to identify a clear set of minimal features, like what are the basic features a democratic country should have. So this understanding we have acquired by reading the chapter. Now if you see, the most common form of democracy that we see today is of representative democracy. All right. So, what happens in representative democracy? What is direct democracy? You have to understand first. See, what are the two types of democracy? Democracies can be classified into two types. One is direct, and the other one is indirect. So what happens in direct democracy? It is one in which the people themselves vote on a bill or amendment, thereby making the final statement. It involves a huge number of people from the country. It was mainly practiced in ancient Greek cities. Now, what do you understand by direct democracy? Democracy is what? Democracy is people's rule. So, where people are directly governing themselves when they are not taking a help of any representative or any uh, leader or any ruler, when they are directly involved in the decision making and also the implementing of the decisions, the whole people, the whole society, the whole country, they are involved in decision making. Collectively they are taking decisions, everyone. So that is direct democracy, where people, they themselves, they are taking decisions for themselves. I hope this is clear. And the second one is indirect democracy. So what happens in indirect democracy is the one in which is currently being practiced in India and a few other major countries like USA, UK. Here the representatives are chosen through elections and they make important decisions on behalf of the people. All right, but what happens in indirect? We choose certain representatives, we choose certain leaders, and those leaders will take decision on our behalf. Okay, and this is the most common form of the government or democracy, you can say it. All right, I hope the two democracies are clear to you people. First is direct. Direct meaning people, they themselves take the decisions, but in indirect they will choose someone, and that someone is your representative and they will take your decisions. All right. Okay. So what happens in representative democracy, where majority is allowed to take decision on the behalf of all the people. Okay, a group is or a group of leaders will be chosen, and those leaders are your representatives, and they will take decisions on behalf of the people. Because actually, what is democracy? People's rule, but people they okay. So we'll discuss what are the two reasons why in the modern times we are following the representative democracy. So, one reason is modern democracies involve such a large number of people. Yes or no? We are such a large billion trillion population. So, is it possible physically to sit together and take a collective decision? So, for this entire population or this huge mass of people together sitting and coming to a decision, it's really impossible. That is why we are choosing representatives to represent a particular group. From a group or a particular region, a representative will go and he will take decisions on behalf of the region. Okay, I hope this is clear. And second reason why we follow representative democracy, even if you could, okay, even if you could make people sit at a place to take the decisions because it's a people's role, still the citizen do not have the time. Okay, they don't have the desire as well. They also lack the skills to take part in the decision making. That is why we are not adopting a direct form of democracy. Alright, that is why we are adopting the indirect form of democracy. So, all this is giving us a minimal understanding of democracy. What should democracy at its minimal level? Okay, because there are two ideas as I've discussed. What is ideal democracy and what is real democracy? Ideal is something where everything is just perfect. Ideally, you just follow. If you ideally follow, then what happens? Everything is in order, arranged properly. But if you bring that idea into reality, you will find certain uh, downfalls or certain pitfalls are always there. Okay, so it does not allow us to distinguish between a democracy and a good democracy. So we have to analyze what is democracy at its minimal level. Okay, and it also see now we have seen that democracy as a form of government. Now we have to put this idea into other institutions. Like there's so many institutions in our society. Yes or no? What is the basic unit of a society? It's a family. Alright, so we'll put the idea democracy in an institution named family. Okay, just ask yourself, is your family democratic? You just have to ask yourself that is your family democratic? And how you will answer this question, you have to just analyze whenever you are making a decision, collective decision, where your parents or your elders take your opinions or not. If they don't take your opinions, then you cannot say that family is democratic, because in a democracy everyone's opinions matter. All right, so if your family they take your decision into consideration, then we can say that our family is a democratic family. All right, even if I give you an example of a classroom. Okay, if a teacher she allows students to speak and ask questions in the class, then that teacher or that classroom can be said to be a democratic class. All right, and even a country, if a country is being ruled by a particular party, or that party is ruled by a particular family, then also we cannot say it's a democratic party or democratic country. No. All right, these ways of using the word democracy go back to its basic sense, all right, of a method of taking decisions. In democracy, what should be there? It should have consultation and the consent of the people. Like people should have the consent to the decisions. Also, they should be consulted before making a decision. These two words, remember, consultation and consent. Consultation meaning people should be asked, like, what is your opinion? What form of government? What are the changes that you need? What are your basic needs? Everything should be consulted with the people, and people must give their consent, saying yes or no. Alright? And those who are not powerful have the same say in the decisions as those who are powerful. Okay, because we have chosen our leaders and we have given the power to take decisions for us. So they are powerful, and automatically we have just given our powers, but we should have the same say, alright, with the leaders. And this can apply to a government, family, or any other small to big institutions of the society of the country. Alright, and sometimes we use the word democracy not to describe any existing government but to set up an ideal standard. Alright, that democracy must aim. In a democracy, what should we expect? We expect that everyone that goes to bed at night, they should not be hungry. In a democracy, that every citizen they must have a decision making, a role, equal role in decision making. They must have right to information, education, health. All the resources should be equal among the people, or the opportunities which they get should be equal. Okay, and if we take this word seriously, if we see the ideal democracy, then no country in the world is a democracy, all right? Yet, an understanding of democracy reminds of a values which we must incorporate, okay? Because there are two types of democracy: a good democracy and a minimal democracy, okay? Because ideally, no country can establish a perfect democracy. So, what should be the minimal features a country or a democratic country should have, that we must see? Okay, and our focus here is with some core institutional features of democracy. Okay, and so that we people must have basic rights, basic decision making powers, all right, and consultation should be there, all right. And the most common form of democracy, as you know, is representative democracy. Okay, you must have seen, for example, you must have seen in a panchayat area what happens there. People, they collectively sit down and they take the decisions for that village, all right. So this is a form of direct democracy, where the people themselves taking the decisions. Okay, and so people use the word democracy not to describe any existing government, but to set up an ideal. I've said you, okay, not to describe the any government that is existing, but a standard should be maintained so that every country have the minimal features of democracy. Okay, and so I've discussed this, and this is how Gram Sabha should work in a village, all right, where the people come and sit together and they take decisions. This is a form of direct democracy, and this is also I've discussed. Now, okay, so no country is a perfect democracy. Okay, if we see the actual features or the ideal features of democracy, no country is a perfect democracy. Okay, the features of democracy we have discussed in the chapter provides only for minimum condition. I've told you the minimum conditions, the conditions uh, which should be there, basic features, all right. Because I've told you perfect order is not existent, all right. So minimally which we are getting, that should be proper, because this does not make it an ideal democracy, no. Okay, and every democracy has to realize the ideals of democratic decision making. Yeah, how the decision making is being done. Are the people, they are having the right of consent, or are they being consulted? This should be the effort, okay. Because once we have established a democratic form of government and we are not cross checking how the institutions of the government are being run, that is not all. We should be constantly working in order to save our democracy, in order to strengthen, in order to broaden the democratic setup. Okay, because once we have set up and for the next 10 to 15 years we are not doing anything, no maintenance, nothing, what will happen? It will collapse, or it will lead to more corruption in the future days. So in order to prevent corruption, in order to prevent um, bad decision making, we have to be constant, all right. And what do we do as a citizen is to, we should see whether the democratic setup is proper, okay. Because it is us for who the democratic setup is there, okay. And that is what we distinguish from the other forms. Yes, see, democratic and non-democratic. Democratic meaning where the people have the rights, people have equality, people have freedom. Okay, these three ideas, or you can say these are the crux of ideas which we must follow. But what happens in non-democratic form of government, like monarchy? I've discussed monarchy, dictatorship, or in China where there's only one party ruling. Does that, does there people are getting rights? No. Okay, so in fact, most non-democratic government would like citizens not to take part in politics, but democracy depends on active political participation. If people are not participating, then democracy will not simply run. Alright, so that is why a study of democracy must focus on democratic politics. Okay, we must focus on the study of democracy, which focuses actually on democratic politics. I hope this is clear to you people. If you have any doubt, just let me know. Alright, thank you.